I'm Roseanna Sommers, and I teach torts. So one big difference between law school and college is that, well, at least when I was in college, it was very oriented around your major, and who you were friends with was not necessarily who you were in a major with. So I had friends who were studying really different stuff from me, whereas in law school you all are kind of majoring in the same topic and your standardized curriculum for most of the first year. And so it can feel a little bit like it's hard to sort of differentiate yourself. It's hard to choose your path within law school. It can also sort of feel like there's a lot of pressure to conform and to do what everybody else is doing, and there'll be like moments when everyone is applying for this sort of thing or everyone's trying out for that sort of thing. And so it can feel like you're all doing the same thing in a way that college kind of didn't, because we were all studying different things. But I urge you to not think of law school that way, because you actually can make your own path and study what you're interested in and kind of tune out what everyone else is doing, if that's what you want to do. So I'm an experimental social psychologist. I study how ordinary people understand the law. I study the ways in which the law sort of misunderstands how ordinary people think. And the reason that I'm interested in this area is that, if you look just at the law in general, or probably any legal doctrine or any legal area, you will see embedded in the doctrine or embedded in the legal sort of frame of mind various assumptions about what motivates people, how they think, how they behave, what sorts of interventions are going to get people to be less biased or more cooperative or more law-abiding, or whatever it is that you're aiming to do with the law. But so many of these assumptions are not empirically validated or tested even, and some of them are kind of contradicted by psych theory. And so what I sort of aim to do is identify those areas where I think the law has like a mistaken assumption about human behavior or human psychology, try to, bring in what we know from psychology, cognitive science, neuroscience, etc., and shift the conversation. So my opinion is that psychology is relevant to basically every area of the law, and every area could use more psychologists studying those different areas. I've also noticed that to the extent there are law and psych scholars doing research, it tends to be focused on criminal law, which makes a lot of sense, but we have areas of relative neglect like tort law, which is what I teach. And so I'm very interested in bringing psychological methods to studying concepts in tort law, concepts like consent, concepts like causation, what is harm, what duties do we owe each other. I think we can gain a lot from using empirical methods, and I've kind of gone in that direction because I see it as underexplored. I don't actually cold call my class, I warm call. So at least in my class, I'm almost never looking for like the right answer right off the bat. I'm trying to kind of lead us down a path that will illustrate different arguments one could make before we arrive at the conclusion. And so if I call on the first student and they already are jumping to the conclusion, I'm like, wait, hold on, give me the wrong answer first so that we can all learn, and then we'll go to another wrong answer and another, and then we'll get there. So, you shouldn't be worried about not knowing where we're going. That's kind of like the pedagogical mission here, is to show us like the thought process that gets you there. And I'm not expecting you to be there like off the bat. What I really am just looking for is like a good faith effort to answer these hard questions. And sometimes when you're wrong, that's like the most instructive. I think it's important to be reflective. There's a lot of momentum behind certain like decisions and timelines, and you can kind of get swept up in like the 1L thing, which turns into the 2L thing, which turns into, wow, law school's almost over, without having a moment to think, wait a second, is this what I want to be doing? Is this how I want to be spending my time? Am I engaged? Am I fulfilled? And if you build in moments for reflection where you can ask yourself that question and then course correct if you realize that you're spending a lot of time doing something that doesn't actually excite you, or your balance between working and having fun and taking care of yourself isn't the balance you want. Building in those moments for reflection, I think, probably is the best way to make sure that you're getting the most out of law school. Sometimes students who feel overwhelmed are making like a classic law student mistake, which is to try to keep all of their options open because they're afraid to shut a door. And that's totally natural, but I think you will find a lot of clarity and calm if you can ask yourself, do I really need to keep all of my options open? Is this door that I'm closing something that I actually want? And if you can let opportunities go and say, I can't do everything, I can't be everything to everyone, I'm excited about this and I'm just gonna commit to it, then you will be less overwhelmed and you will be more effective at that one thing. So there's a lot of FOMO. And you'll see your friends all doing really cool stuff and you'll think, oh, I should have taken that class, or I should have done that thing, or I should get involved in that. But it's okay, you don't have to be doing everything. You just need to be doing what makes you happy. I think the danger of being overly competitive is most acute when you don't know what you want to do. And you come to law school because you want to keep all your options open, and it seems like a pretty flexible degree, which it is, and you don't need to know exactly what you want to do. But I would encourage students to sort of ditch the mindset of trying to keep your options open, and if you find something you love, just commit to it. And that way, you don't have to measure yourself against other people who are committed to their own causes and projects and pursuits. You just measure yourself based on whether you're achieving what you want to achieve, and you can kind of block out the external metrics that don't speak to that. So one thing that makes the 3 years you spend in law school really special is the chance to be around just like really great classmates and professors, but really it's the community, and I would encourage everyone to really take advantage of that. Yes, study, yes, make sure that you attend to all of your responsibilities, but like the friendships you make here are going to be the most valuable thing as a lawyer that you will have.